Union Denosa is defending the nurse accused of tying an elderly patient to a bench at the Mamelodi Hospital. The nurse, as well as 3 doctors and a security guard, have been implicated in the incident. They've been placed on special leave while the Gauteng Health Department investigates. Denosa is unhappy with the decision, saying proper processes were not followed. Joining me in the studio now is Denosa Gauteng chairperson, Simpiwe Gada. Simpiwe, thank you so much for coming in. I'm sure you, like all of us, were quite shocked by that video that, of course, went viral in the age that we're living in, of that elderly woman who was tied to that chair in the Mamelodi Hospital.
No, definitely. The official position of Denosa is that we join the South Africans in condemning the action. However, as we condemn the action and highlight that our people, despite their social standing, should be treated with respect in our health facilities in the public sector and as well as the private sector. So much as we do that, however, we think that we must also, as a nation, take keen interest in investigating the issue and commenting based on the facts that would have been revealed by the investigation, instead of doing what happened whereby everybody took a position without being informed by facts, blaming the nurses only after a preliminary...
Let me just stop you there. Let me then ask you, from what you understand after this incident came to the fore, what do you understand happened in terms of processes in the department trying to follow up on the evidence that was brought to them?
Well, we have witnessed the Department of Health announcing in the media that the officials will be placed on special leave, and we must put on record that the nurse is a member of Denosa, was never placed on special leave. So that in itself, that pronouncements in a way prejudices the member. And also, when the member on Monday, the 3rd of June, was served with a letter with the intention to suspend, the same letter was contradicting whether it's an intention, because in the same letter it's saying the subject is an intention to suspend. But if you further look down in the letter, it's telling the member to vacate the premises of the hospital with immediate effect.
So you were saying that...
So that is a suspension, yes. It's a premature suspension without listening to the reasons which we have, by the way, submitted on behalf of the member why we believe that she should not be suspended.
From what you understand in terms of processes, what should have happened around this incident?
Well, like any other incident, we've got what we call PSCPC Resolution 1 of 2003. Section 7 prescribes that if there's an alleged incident and you want to do an inquiry on an official of the public sector, what you do, you tell them of your intention to do that, and then you also, there's 2 things, you either precautionary suspend them or precautionary transfer them. But before doing that, you must give them the opportunity to make representations as to why they should not be precautionary suspended or precautionary transferred. And that's the process that we want followed. And you don't make pronouncements before engaging in that process, which is, in this case, we have seen pronouncements being made before the process is made, which then creates a question that says, when these reasons that have been submitted are being considered, will they be considered with impartiality, or it was just an exercise and there was already a predetermined decision that has been made? So that is where we are not happy as an organization to say that, firstly, it was the pronouncements which was placing the blame on nurses without any facts or a preliminary report.
Or disciplinary hearing of any kind.
Yes. Now, later on, when a preliminary report reveals that doctors are implicated, a security guard is implicated, nobody comes back and says that, what about these officials? The narrative has always been focusing and isolating nurses, which is what we're calling against, to say that let us not do that. Let's understand that the public healthcare system is not run by nurses only. We've got a multidisciplinary team that runs the hospital. If anything goes wrong, before commenting, let's not just assume and jump into conclusion that it's nurses, because we're purporting and painting a picture that they are not competent, and which as Denosa, we have placed on record that, and we want to still place on record that our nurses innocent. It's not a nurse that has done that. Instead, we should appreciate that nurses are running the healthcare system under difficult and harsh conditions. And if it was not for the nurses, the healthcare system in this country would have collapsed a long time ago, because as far as the admin and other systems have collapsed as far as we're concerned. But nurses continue being on the cold front of ensuring that they are serving our people, and yet they are then paid with this type of reaction. And the sad thing that we must mention mention is that these stories, when they break out, everybody has got an opinion about them. They are being reported, but nobody follows the story to its logical conclusion. When a nurse has been exonerated, nobody comes out and say that we wrongly accused a nurse. So on behalf of the nursing profession and on behalf of that nurse, that is why we are coming out as a nurses union, as a nurses organization, to say that hands off the nursing fraternity. Let us not isolate nurses, because what we are doing, we are not assisting the situation, and we have called that perhaps the interview, the investigation that must happen should be done by the health ombudsman, who is a neutral body in this instance, because the health ombudsman is not only going to do an investigation with the intention to punish people, but will point out the gaps that exist in the system and also provide remedial action, which will be binding as well to government.
If I can bring you back for a second to this incident at Mamelodi Hospital,
Yes.
and I don't think anybody disagrees how important the work is that nurses do in this country on
Yes.
a daily basis at the various hospitals and medical facilities across the country, not at all. But from what you understand, and including this member that you're speaking on behalf of, what happened involving this specific incident involving this elderly lady at Mamelodi Hospital on that day?
Well, we don't want to enter into the merits of the case, or the demerits of the case, because there's an investigation that has been sanctioned, a disciplinary process. If the investigation so determines that you need to discipline, is going to happen. But what we know and what we can confirm is that our member, the nurse, was only reporting for duty at 7 p.m. on the said day, coming back from her 7 days of day off. So within an hour of being on duty, taking doing a compulsory routine, which is to receive the handover report, counting drugs, and also going to the resource area to deal with the resource that was there, not having been in contact with the patient, finds herself, mind you, has got 28 years of experience as a nurse, has never been charged, has never received a warning whatsoever, finds herself got a clean record, now finds herself having to be served with papers with the intention to place her on special, to place her on precautionary suspension.
So why do you believe that she was the person that the department came to, or that the hospital came to and said you are to blame? Do you think she's being targeted? Do you think that the department was under pressure to be seen to be doing something?
We don't want to speculate and say she's targeted, because we don't think that she's got any bad relations with the management or the department. And for that, for the record, she does not have any personal relations with the department. But we can safely say that our speculation is that, when the country was up in arms condemning this thing, certain people needed to be seen acting, and in the process of acting, then decided to pick on an innocent nurse. And as an organization, we're fully behind that nurse. The nursing community is fully behind that nurse. And we can confirm that she's in good spirits. We were interacting with her on Monday. We were with her even yesterday. She's in good spirits, because she knows, when the truth is on your side, you've got nothing to worry about.
We just last week, there were a couple of videos outside of this terrible video. There were also a couple of videos doing the rounds, people posting videos of nurses who in some hospitals gather in prayer and song before they start their shift. And that was really positive messages around nursing staff that was doing the rounds. But would you admit that there would be some bad apples on the facing the very difficult infrastructural and other issues that nurses follow or have to work with in South Africa on a daily basis? Would you admit, though, that there would be some that perhaps because they're in the wrong job, or they have the wrong personality, or in the face of really difficult circumstances, sometimes have to take difficult and incorrect decisions?
Well, I think like any other profession, I was listening to Power FM yesterday. They were talking about, the police, the bad apples in the police force and all that. Even with teachers, all professions, they will always, even in the family, there's always that bad apple. But we should not then conclude, because the bad apples are not in majority, because we've got in majority good nurses that are, going beyond the call of duty to ensure that they are serving our communities. And of course, those bad apples, when identified, we always seek to ensure that they are rehabilitated and to ensure that they serve our people. So we'll admit in that one that really, like anywhere, you'll always face challenges in any profession.
But in this situation, you're just calling for fair process to be
That's
followed.
all we're calling. Let's follow fair process. And also, this is just a symptom of a bigger problem. Let's allow the health ombudsman to conduct a thorough investigation, and when challenges have been raised, government must be ready to roll up their sleeves. We are committing to support in terms of resolving the bigger challenges. Issues of shortage of staff, shortage of medication, shortage of tools of trade like your BP machine, improving the facilities. And we must say that I want to put this thing on record that seeing that we have changed in administration, that we've got a new cabinet in Gauteng, that and the MEC of Health, unfortunately, in his first job, in his first days in the job, then has to face this thing that really other people will take this thing and say we're fighting him. We're not fighting him. Our job as a union is to ensure that there's fairness in the workplace, and we'll exercise that without making any apology. And we also commit to working with him to improve the healthcare system, because there are many challenges in this province, in particular when it comes to healthcare system, because we're servicing the SADC region, we're servicing even other provinces with the small resources that we have. And lastly, we want to call on the finance ministry, the president, the Minister of Health, that they should really pump a lot of money into Gauteng and resources, because we think that health must be seen as an investment as opposed to being seen as an expense. And once we've got a healthy nation, then we're able to also drive a positive economy. That's what we're calling for. That let's look at it. Let us not only support your state-owned entities like SAA, Eskom. We've been pumping money there, but we are very unwilling to pump money into the health system and deal with the challenges, with the systemic challenges that are there, because for us to resolve those challenges, we need resources, we need a lot of support from the community, there should be a political will to improve the healthcare system, and all stakeholders must work together in terms of ensuring we boost staff morale, appreciate our hardworking staff, and ensure that we deal with all the challenges that are there.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Denosa, as Gauteng Chairperson Simphiwe Gada.
Thank you.